Xiao Lin woke up feeling dizzy, like his head hadn't caught up with the rest of him yet, lagging harder than a bad connection. The non-stop noise around him only made it worse. He frowned, wondering why it was so loud, and looked around, trying to make sense of things. All he could see was a huge hall packed with strangers. As his vision slowly adjusted, he realized just how massive the place was. The entire space looked sleek and futuristic, definitely not his bedroom, not even close. He stood there, completely confused, asking what was going on and who all these people were. The thought circled in his mind again and again. This wasn't his home. Had he been kidnapped? Or was this some absurdly realistic dream? Then something stirred in his memory. He pressed a hand to his head as it resurfaced, recalling that it had all started with a letter. Xiao Lin had graduated not long ago. Instead of jumping into a typical job, he spent his time gaming under the name God Xiao, known for turning matches around at the last second like some last-minute miracle worker. His fans loved it, the control, the timing, the almost smug certainty in his plays. Until he found something more stable, he made money by boosting accounts in games. After finishing another match and announcing he was done for the day, he stretched in his messy room. His life was simple, snacks within arm's reach, his phone never far, and endless gaming sessions. His father, however, wasn't impressed. The man had angrily said he couldn't believe he ended up with a son like him. Real supportive, that one. Wanting to prove he wasn't as useless as they thought, Xiao Lin moved out, determined to show he just hadn't found the right path yet. But less than 2 days after moving, things got strange. Late one night, someone knocked on his door. When he opened it, he saw a delivery guy who looked suspiciously out of place, like a background character who knew too much. The man handed over a package with a smirk and said it was for him. The moment Xiao Lin opened it, black energy burst out. A glowing system screen appeared, informing him that he had been accepted into Dawn Academy as a preparatory freshman. It confirmed his identity and announced that forced teleportation would begin. Before he could react, the letter disappeared, and he realized he'd been dragged into something he definitely hadn't signed up for. Now, back in the hall, Xiao Lin was still trying to process everything. He stood there, sweating slightly and holding his head, when someone spoke nearby. A tall man with a scar across his face and a sword on his back looked down at him and commented that he was finally awake. His tone carried a faint edge of mockery, like he'd seen this exact scene too many times. He added that Xiao Lin must have a pretty weak body if he'd been lying there for over 3 hours, and asked if he had been planning to sleep forever. Xiao Lin blinked up at him, still dazed. Great. First day in, wherever this was, and he was already being judged by some scary bastard with a sword. Around them, the other students were just as confused and angry. Some demanded to know where they were, while others shouted that this was kidnapping and insisted on being let out. A few even threatened to call the police, as if that would somehow fix all of this. The noise quickly spiraled out of control. The scarred man looked fed up. He clicked his tongue and grabbed his sword. In one swift motion, he drew it. A surge of purple energy shot forward with a thunderous sound, sending a shockwave across the hall. The freshmen panicked and scattered as he shouted for them to be quiet. That display was more than enough to silence everyone. He looked down at the group with clear annoyance, muttering that every batch seemed to have people like this. He complained about the recruitment department, saying they must be doing nothing all day. He announced that since someone had woken up late and wasted their time, he would keep things brief. Xiao Lin could only stare back, still trying to figure out what kind of situation he had just been thrown into. The scary bastard with the scar finally introduced himself, saying his name was Qin Chuan and that he was the counselor for freshman year, Class 7. Like that alone should settle everyone down. He told the crowd they were the chosen ones, brought here to undergo intense training, build strength, toughen themselves up, and eventually qualify to enter the new world. The reaction was immediate. Some students questioned what he meant by that, while others openly wondered if this guy was insane. Before anyone could get carried away, he cut it off, saying the nonsense was over and ordering them to take out their credentials because the potential assessment was starting. Xiao Lin watched quietly, already thinking things through. Counting himself, there were at least 200 people here, which made it clear this wasn't some ordinary kidnapping. He looked around the futuristic hall again, wondering what this place was and whether he was even still on Earth. The whole New World idea sounded more like some kind of alien migration plan to him. He then watched as the first student stepped into a glowing pod. Xiao Lin figured this potential assessment sounded a lot like checking character stats in a game. The machine beeped and displayed complete. Qin Chuan glanced at the result and immediately dismissed it, saying a total attribute value of 24 was trash and telling them to move on. The next student did slightly better. Qin Chuan admitted 32 points looked decent and even showed a hint of excitement, but it faded quickly. He complained that the overall average was still too low and that only 1 or 2 people were worth noting. He muttered about reporting this to the principal and told the recruitment department to stop picking people out of a garbage dump before calling the next person. When it was Xiao Lin's turn, he stepped into the pod and the machine started beeping, but it didn't stop. Seconds passed, then more. While everyone else had finished in under 10 seconds, he had been standing there for nearly a minute. Even Qin Chuan began watching more closely, clearly expecting something unusual. Finally, the machine gave a loud beep complete. Xiao Lin let out a breath, thinking it was over. Qin Chuan called him over to check the results, and the moment he saw the screen, his expression changed completely. The system displayed, name, Xiao Lin. Strength, 2, agility, 2, intelligence, 2, constitution, 3. Qin Chuan stared, then muttered in disbelief that the total was 9. He covered his eyes, saying he hadn't seen stats this bad since his own early days at Dawn Academy. He turned to Xiao Lin and called him a rare piece of trash, saying it was the first single-digit start he had ever seen. Xiao Lin felt his temper rise and thought that if Qin Chuan was so capable, he might as well send this trash back home. Qin Chuan simply sighed, disappointed that his brief anticipation had turned into what he called a true loser. Standing there, Xiao Lin heard that word echo in his mind. It brought back memories of his family looking down on him. From childhood to now, no matter where he went, he was always labeled the same way. A faint purple glow flickering in his eyes, wondering if he really couldn't escape that label even here. Qin Chuan held up a gold identity nameplate and said that with those attributes, entering the test would be suicide, and giving it to him was a waste. He tossed it aside carelessly. Xiao Lin caught it. He straightened and said that whether he was a loser or not wasn't decided by a single number, adding that he would try it himself no matter what. Qin Chuan smirked and said he would be waiting to see how reality hit him, warning him not to lose his nerve during the test. As he turned away, a girl asked about the gifted students he had mentioned earlier. Qin Chuan gave a short chuckle and explained that they were the lucky ones, practically supported by fate itself, the guaranteed survivors of the new world and the destined strong. He told the rest of the class to focus on passing the entrance exam first. A black-haired girl spoke up again, reminding him that he had promised they could gain unimaginable wealth and power in the academy. The atmosphere shifted as the weight of that promise settled over the group. The black-haired girl with glasses wasn't just standing there looking composed, she wanted answers. She adjusted her glasses and asked what price they had to pay for all those promises, her tone calm and confident, like a top student already thinking 3 steps ahead. Even Qin Chuan had to pause and check his note. He asked for her name, then read it off, Gu Xiaoye, his tone noticeably more polite than before. He added that she had the highest initial attribute values in the group, though he couldn't resist pointing out that it was a pity she didn't have a special talent. This time, he actually gave a proper answer. He explained that in this academy, credits and redemption points were the main currency, and they could be exchanged for anything, power, wealth, authority, whatever they wanted as long as they could afford it. Gu Xiaoye simply said she understood, keeping it cool. Xiao Lin, meanwhile, was doing a double-take. He hadn't expected this quiet girl to be the strongest one there. He also noticed how Qin Chuan's attitude toward her had completely changed. Clearly, the scary bastard had favorites. Then Qin Chuan turned back to the rest of the group and dropped the polite act, telling them that if they wanted to check their status, they just needed to recite check attributes silently in their minds. Xiao Lin lifted his nameplate and followed the instructions. A soft beep sounded, and a glowing interface appeared in front of him, laying everything out. Name, Xiao Lin. Student ID 201235. Credits and redemption points 0. His attributes were still painfully low: Strength 2, Agility 2, Intelligence 2, Constitution 3. Both his physical and magical attack ratings sat at a depressing F-. Then came the part that made things worse. His natural lifespan was listed as 83 years. At 23, that left him with 60 years remaining. But there was a warning: every time he died, 10 years would be deducted. Once it hit 0, that was it. Xiao Lin froze, staring at the screen as he processed that detail. Around him, the others were reacting just as badly. Some panicked, saying their remaining lifespan was already dangerously low. Others realized that dying even once could mean the end. A few tried to deny it, arguing that something like lifespan couldn't possibly be measured. As Xiao Lin was still taking it in, a sudden beep-beep rang in his ears. A new system window popped up. It informed him that an abnormal fluctuation had been detected and that a hidden talent was being unlocked. That caught him completely off guard. He thought there was no way someone like him would have a hidden talent. Looking around, he noticed no one else reacting, which made it clear the notification was meant only for him. The system began analyzing, though parts of it came back as unknown. No matching name, no matching level in the database. After a moment, it finished. The results showed that his learning efficiency was greatly enhanced, even at level 1. The passive effect boosted his ability to learn any skill to full efficiency, while the active effect allowed him to replicate any F-rank ability for 3 minutes. There were limits. He couldn't copy other talents, and the ability could only be used once every 7 days. Since the system couldn't identify the talent, it prompted him to name it. Xiao Lin thought it over briefly. It improved learning and allowed copying, simple enough. He decided not to complicate things and chose the name, Academic Genius. The system accepted it. Purple energy flared around him as the name was processed. The display updated. Talent name, Academic Genius. Level, LV1. Then it began assessing the rank. The energy intensified and the result appeared. SS-Rank Talent. Xiao Lin stared at it, realizing how far above normal that rank was. It also meant Qin Chuan hadn't detected it earlier during the assessment. Not far away, Qin Chuan was still busy yelling at other students, completely unaware. Xiao Lin's expression shifted into a small, confident smirk. He thought that an SS-class talent might be exactly what he needed to survive here. The label of loser didn't seem so fixed anymore. In his mind, God Xiao was back in play. The student with only 9 years left was visibly panicking, doing the math in real time and not liking the result. He asked what that lifespan actually meant, wondering if losing 10 years per death would just drop him straight to 0. He even asked if this whole thing was some kind of bug. Qin Chuan didn't bother explaining gently. Instead, he smacked the guy on the head and called him an idiot, making it very clear that yes, if he only had 9 years left, dying once would mean immediate, permanent death. Then, surprisingly, he said they were stupid for thinking this was bad news. He explained that, outside the academy, people lost lifespan every year just by living, and once they died, that was it. No second chances. But here, lifespan wasn't just a countdown, it was a resource. A currency. Something they could earn back. By completing missions and exchanging points, they could increase their strength and recover lost years. He pointed out that power, knowledge, wealth, and even lifespan were all within reach. In theory, as long as someone had enough credits, eternal life wasn't impossible. Gu Xiaoye adjusted her glasses and asked whether this rule applied everywhere or only inside the academy. Qin Chuan answered that once they became students, the rule would apply as long as they were on Earth. Then he abruptly ended the discussion, announcing that the entrance test was starting and ordering everyone to stay where they were. A system prompt appeared, stating that teleportation was being prepared and that a countdown had begun. The numbers ticked down, 3, 2, 1. As it hit 0, purple flames erupted across the hall, swallowing the students in a flash of light. In an instant, they were gone. Qin Chuan was left standing alone in the now empty hall. He clicked his tongue and muttered that this batch didn't have a single talented student, complaining that his evaluation score would probably suffer. He rubbed his head, clearly irritated by his luck. Then a loud laugh echoed through the hall. A man in a black t-shirt and camo pants walked in, casually smoking a cigar. He greeted Qin Chuan loudly and started bragging that his own class had produced 2 talented students, 1 A rank and 1 B rank, and even someone with initial stats over 40. Qin Chuan dismissed the bragging, saying stats alone didn't mean much and that talent was what really mattered. He mentioned hearing a rumor about a double S-rank freshman from Eagle Country the previous year. The other counselor laughed it off, saying that rumor had already been debunked since there was no record of it in the central database. He added that even S-rank talents were extremely rare. Qin Chuan agreed, remarking that there couldn't be many in the world, completely unaware that an SS-rank anomaly had just been sent into his own test. Meanwhile, deep inside the goblin nest, the air was thick with a sickly green fog. The students reacted immediately, gagging and covering their noses as they complained about the smell. Xiao Lin stood among them, noticeably less affected, focusing instead on his system's screen. The mandatory mission was straightforward: escape the forest within 1 hour and reach the safe zone. The reward was 10 credits and 100 exchange points. There were also optional missions: kill 5 goblins or take down the Goblin King, for higher rewards. To prepare them, the system distributed a pre-student exclusive gift pack, each containing a random weapon. Then another notification appeared, clarifying that there would be no death penalty during this test. The mood shifted instantly. The earlier panic gave way to excitement now that dying didn't carry consequences. Xiao Lin opened his gift pack and received a novice staff with an F-rank magic rating. It came with a skill called Energy Ball, which consumed mental power. At the same time, he unlocked Basic Wand Mastery. He observed that the system felt very similar to the games he used to play: skills, stats, progression, all of it. Gripping the staff, he watched as faint purple energy began to gather at the crystal tip. With that, he seemed ready to start taking things seriously. Xiao Lin decided to test his new weapon and fired a bolt of purple energy from the crystal tip. The blast hit the ground and left behind a small smoking crater. A system notification popped up, informing him that his basic wand mastery had gained 2 EXP, bringing it to level 1 with 2% progress. He quickly realized that actually using a weapon increased experience points. With his SS rank talent boosting his learning speed, he figured he could level skills much faster than everyone else. Then reality kicked in. A sharp pain shot through his head, making him grit his teeth. He realized his stats were too low, his mana pool was tiny, and he couldn't sustain this kind of casting. A warning appeared, stating that his current mana was insufficient and he couldn't use Energy Ball anymore. Nearby, a muscular guy was swinging a massive blade like a maniac. He loudly bragged that he had unlocked basic heavy sword mastery and that each swing gave him 1 EXP point. Xiao Lin observed that using a specific weapon unlocked its corresponding skill. For a moment, he considered that if simply swinging a weapon granted experience, they could just stay here and grind endlessly. But he dismissed that idea just as quickly. Random swinging wasn't efficient, and the stamina cost for normal people would be too high. The time limit on the mission clearly existed to prevent that kind of behavior. He concluded that switching to a physical weapon might be a better choice for now. Just then, someone approached him. Gu Xiaoya spoke up, asking if he wanted to trade weapons. She admitted she didn't know much about games, but she understood that magic came with a cost, likely tied to mental power or intelligence. She believed the wand suited her better and implied that Xiao Lin might need something more practical. Xiao Lin introduced himself, and they agreed to exchange weapons. He handed over the staff and received a novice dagger in return. A system message confirmed the weapon, noting its F-rank physical attack, and that he had already unlocked basic dagger mastery at level 1. He tested the dagger with a quick swing and found it much easier to handle. He also realized that having a teammate would make passing the test much smoother. He turned back to Gu Xiaoya and started to ask if she wanted to team up. Before he could finish, a loud voice interrupted. Wang Dalin stepped in, confidently suggesting cooperation, but only to Gu Xiaoya. He completely ignored Xiao Lin, boasting that his strength, constitution, and agility were all above 10 points. He asked if he didn't look like a much safer choice compared to what he called a pretty boy standing nearby. Xiao Lin muttered under his breath that high stats weren't everything. Gu Xiaoya looked at Wang Dalin for a moment, then calmly said she wasn't interested and walked away. The surrounding students reacted instantly, laughing at the rejection. Wang Dalin's face turned red as he snapped his head around, looking for someone to blame. His attention quickly locked onto Xiao Lin. He walked over and shoved him, demanding to know what he was looking at. He complained that seeing someone with single-digit stats annoyed him and accused Xiao Lin of being useless. Xiao Lin stayed calm. He said that whether they passed the test depended on their own abilities and suggested that Wang Dalin should conserve his energy instead of starting fight. That only made things worse. Wang Dalin grabbed Xiao Lin by the collar and lifted him slightly, saying he would show him what real ability looked like. Xiao Lin didn't struggle. He let out a quiet laugh and told him he probably wouldn't get the chance. Right behind Wang Dalin, something moved. A green, clawed hand reached out from the shadows. By the time Wang Dalin reacted, it was already too late. A goblin had leapt into the air, aiming straight for his head. A green goblin with a long tongue lunged at him and slashed across his chest, drawing blood as he cursed out loud. Still, he didn't go down. Gritting his teeth, he swung his oversized blade and split the creature in two. Panting, he wiped the sweat from his face and muttered that he'd almost died just now. Then, like any sore loser, he redirected his anger. He pointed at Xiao Lin, accusing him of just standing there and watching. He demanded to know if the brat had been waiting to see him embarrass himself, adding that a mere goblin shouldn't have been able to touch him anyway. That ego didn't last long. A strange noise came from the trees. He paused, confused, and turned his head, only to see dozens of glowing yellow eyes staring back from the darkness. The forest wasn't just dangerous, it was packed. The next moment, everything broke. Screams erupted as a swarm of goblins charged in. The group was instantly overwhelmed. People shouted in panic, begging the creatures to stay away as they were dragged down and torn apart. The air filled with chaos, and the flicker of digital damage effects made it clear. This wasn't just fear, this was real harm. Xiao Lin froze for a brief second, the weight of it finally hitting him. This wasn't a game. The stench in the air, the sting of wounds, even the wind brushing past him. It all felt too real. Nearby, Gu Xiaoya stood her ground with her staff, composed as ever, but Xiao Lin realized how naive he'd been. There was no respawn here. No reset button. The people around him weren't players. They were targets. Someone suddenly shouted that the goblins weren't attacking inside a nearby cave. That was all it took. The crowd rushed toward it, desperate to escape, pushing and trampling each other just to get inside. Xiao Lin made it in with the rest, taking a moment to catch his breath. For now, the cave seemed safe. Then the system interrupted. A glowing blue window appeared, showing a countdown, just under 30 minutes of protection remaining. So much for a safe zone. Xiao Lin knew waiting wasn't an option. He drew his dagger, his expression sharpening as he forced himself to think clearly. He started practicing his swings, striking the air repeatedly and focusing on form and force. A notification popped up, confirming that his basic dagger mastery had gained experience. It was slow, but it proved his theory. Experience only came from proper movement and effort. No shortcuts. He checked his stats again and grimaced. With strength at 2 and constitution at 3, he was barely holding on. Every swing had to count. Time passed, and the countdown dropped into the final minute. The warning turned red, signaling that the cave's protection was about to expire. The remaining students began to panic again. Some complained that the mission was impossible, others argued that ranged weapons were useless against fast enemies. The tension was rising fast. Gu Xiaoya, however, stayed calm, watching Xiao Lin from the side. As he paused to catch his breath, she spoke, saying that what he was doing was meaningless. Based on her calculations, reaching level 2 mastery would normally take about an hour, and they didn't have that kind of time. Xiao Lin looked at her, recognizing her sharp analysis. She continued, stating that reaching level 2 within the remaining time was impossible. But Xiao Lin just smiled slightly. He agreed that under normal circumstances it would take about an hour, but pointed out that his situation wasn't normal. He opened his status window, showing that his basic dagger mastery was already at level 1 with 98 out of 100 experience. He was only a step away. Gu Xiaoya looks genuinely surprised. her eyes widening behind her glasses as she realizes Xiao Lin caught her watching him. "You knew I was observing?" she asks, her voice a mix of curiosity and caution. Our boy just shrugs it off with a casual smile. "It's just like gaming," he explains, "you have to read the guide before pulling the mob." He's treating this death match like a Friday night raid, but the genius girl isn't amused. "I don't play games," she replies flatly, to which he can only offer a dry, "I can tell." After a momentary silence that's just a bit awkward, Gu Xiaoya decides to share the goods. According to her observations, these goblins are basically bottom-tier trash, probably F-rank standard. Their attack and defense are pathetic, and their weak points are exactly where you'd expect: the head and the heart. "As long as you overcome fear, one-on-one isn't hard," she notes. Xiao Lin looks out at the rest of the group, most of whom are curled up in the fetal position or shaking like leaves. "Yeah," he muses, "this mission isn't actually hard, everyone is just scared stiff. It's a harsh truth, but in a world like this, if you lose the courage to fight, you've already lost the game." With the cave's protection timer ticking down to its final 2 minutes, the duo prepares to make their move. "Time to go out," Xiao Lin says, gripping his dagger. Gu Xiaoya nods, adding that they can't just spend the whole mission running away. But as they head for the exit, they're blocked by the resident tough guy in the black shirt. "Wait, where are you going?" he barks, clearly not liking the idea of the brains leaving his side. He ignores Xiao Lin entirely and focuses on the girl. "Gu Xiaoya, party up with me. With our stats, we can definitely kill our way to the destination." He then shoots a nasty glare at our protagonist, adding, "Bringing this trash along is just going to get us killed." Gu Xiaoya doesn't even blink. She's already thinking 3 steps ahead. "Reaching the safe zone required by the mission isn't difficult," she says calmly. "The difficulty and the biggest payoff lie with the Goblin King." The tough guy looks at her like she's grown a second head. The Goblin King is just an optional mission. Besides, up until now, that damn thing hasn't made a sound. He leans in, his voice rising in frustration. "We might not even be able to do the basic surviving part, and you're thinking about a hidden mission?" But Gu Xiaoya is convinced that if the mission exists, it's beatable. She starts theorizing about a trigger mechanism. Maybe it's time-based, student headcount, or, most likely, the number of goblins killed. Xiao Lin chimes in, expertly ruling out time and student count since the school wouldn't leave them with 0 time for a boss fight, and there are already too few people left for that to be the trigger. "The most likely cause is the kill count," he concludes with a confident smirk. A terrified girl with a bow interrupts, asking why they even need to fight the boss. "Can't we just complete the mandatory mission?" she stammers, her voice trembling. Xiao Lin turns to the group, his expression turning serious. "Because there's no penalty for losing this test, but winning is a huge profit," he argues. To him, running away isn't survival, it's a huge loss. He asks them if they really think they'll get another chance to earn credits with 0 risk once school actually starts. Since there's a chance to get more credits and exchange points, why not go all out and try? The logic starts to sink in, and even the scared students begin to realize that since they won't really die, they might as well risk it. The tough guy's still trying to play the alpha. "You're really going to listen to this weakling?" he sneers. "See clearly who the carry is. My initial stat value is 32. He doesn't even get to finish his brag before Gu Xiaoya shuts him down. 32 points? That's just slightly better than an average person, she says dismissively. He rages, demanding to know how high her stats could possibly be. She adjusted her glasses, her voice cold and sharp. 46 points. "Now, can you please shut up?" The silence that follows is deafening. The tough guy looks like he's just swallowed a lemon, and even Xiao Lin is internally reeling. 46 points, that's fully more than 5 times mine. He thinks, his eyes wide with shock. This girl isn't just a genius, she's a powerhouse. Stepping into her role as the natural leader, she takes command. "Those who want to pass the assessment and get extra rewards, follow my command now." She starts barking out roles. The tough guy with the high stats is stuck on aggro duty at the front, while those with ranged weapons provide support from the rear. Then she looks at Xiao Lin. He's already got his role figured out. "I'll be responsible for roaming and harassing," he says, a clever glint in his eye. "And while I'm at it, last hitting the goblins fleeing with low health. He knows his stats are too low for a head-on fight, so he's going to play the scavenger. The group moves out and the battle begins immediately. Die for daddy! The tough guy roars, swinging his massive blade and cleaving through goblins. Behind him, the archer girl pulls her string taut and lets an arrow fly. It's chaos, but it's organized chaos. A goblin leaps at one of the girls, but Xiao Lin is a blur of motion. He intercepts the beast, his dagger finding its mark with clinical precision. A system notification flashes. Slay Goblin X1. The girl thanks him with a shaky thank you, but he's already focused on the next target. Just like that, he reminds himself, don't get tangled in a frontal fight. Save stamina, and just look for the chance to land the last strike. It's a cold, efficient strategy, and it works. Notifications start flooding his vision. Slay Goblin X2. Slay Goblin X3. Slay Goblin X4. One of the students watches in disbelief as our pretty boy with single-digit stats seems to strike exactly when the monster is most vulnerable every time. The scary alpha guy isn't having it, muttering to himself that it's really lucky, just scavenging kills every time. But Gu Xiaoye sees through the luck. It's not good luck, she observes. He seems to always dodge the goblin's line of sight in advance, even predicting the goblin's movements. A new ping rings out. Basic Dagger Mastery EXP +6. And then, the screen flashes with the big level up. Basic Dagger Mastery level up. Current level 2. Xiao Lin wipes a bit of grime from his face, thinking about how his gamer habits finally became a life-saving skill. Luckily, I managed to snag a set of immersive VR games back then and played like crazy for 2 months, he recalls. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to last hit so precisely. Suddenly, a sharp alert interrupts his thoughts. The system window announces, database detection complete. You are the first student among this year's freshmen to reach skill level 2. It turns out being a tryhard pays off as the school grants him a free skill unlocked, Heavy/LV1. The description reveals it's a powerful strike that depends on his current strength, though it's a stamina hog with a 1-minute cooldown. Xiao Lin clenches his fist, a confident grin spreading across his face. Leveled up and got a new skill, and just one goblin short, optional mission 1 will be complete. He spots his final target and lunges forward. He drives his sword into the creature, and the system confirms the kill. Slay Goblin X5. Optional mission 1 completed. He catches his breath, satisfied. Finally finished one mission. But just as he starts to relax, a strange static noise echoes through the clearing. Disappeared? The alpha guy stammers, watching in confusion as a nearby goblin literally dissolves into digital pixels. Hey, what's the situation? The disturbance intensifies as a massive announcement box takes over the sky. Goblin population reduced by 1/3, hidden conditions now met. Activating boss. A shadow so massive it dwarfs the trees begins to loom over the battlefield. The Goblin King looked down at the tiny humans beneath him, sizing them up from above. Xiao Lin, steady as ever, didn't look away. He kept his eyes on the towering figure. The Goblin King takes a deep breath, its chest expanding before it unleashes a bone-shattering roar. A massive sound wave ripples through the clearing, physical enough to distort the air. The archer girl from before claps her hands over her ears, her face contorted in pain as she cries out, "This sound wave, my eardrums are going to burst." Even our stud protagonist and the brainiac Gu Xiaoye are forced to squint against the sheer pressure of the scream. As the dust settles, a red system health bar flickers into existence above the monster, and it's absolutely massive. The text confirms the nightmare. Dungeon Boss Goblin King. The absolute unit stands there, steam hissing from its fanged maw, looking every bit like the final boss of someone's worst nightmare. Our guy notices that the smaller goblins have completely vanished, leaving them alone with the big guy. The survivors are losing it. One student stares at the screen in pure despair, shouting, "Are you kidding me? Its health bar is longer than my lifespan. How am I supposed to fight such a terrifying monster?" Another guy decides he's had enough of this Super Magic Academy experience, yelling, "I quit! You guys fight it yourselves," as he turns tail and runs into the woods. Our protagonist reaches out, shouting a warning, "Don't run around." He's realized something critical about the boss's mechanic. He notes that these goblins have a specific trait. Their field of vision is tiny, but their sense of smell and hearing are extremely keen. We see the Goblin King's ear twitch as it tracks the sound of the fleeing student's footsteps. Its glowing yellow eye locks onto the coward. Our guy grimaces, knowing that the student's actions just painted a massive target on his back. Meanwhile, Wang Dalin, that scary bastard with the giant sword, isn't ready to give up his carry status. He barks at the remaining survivors. What the hell are you afraid of? We have numbers, we can pile on and kill it. With a roar of his own, he leaps into the air, hoisting his massive blade high. Big guy, take this blade. He swings with everything he's got, but the Goblin King doesn't even flinch. It just watches him with one bored, glowing eye before delivering a casual, point-blank punch straight into Wang Dalin's gut. The impact is brutal. The top-tier stat holder is sent flying backward like a ragdoll, smashing into a solid rock wall with a sickening thud. Blood sprays everywhere as he begins to dissolve into blue pixels. The morale of the group officially hits rock bottom. Run away. Wang Dalin got one shot. Let's run. The panic is infectious. One student is screaming as he tries to flee, but the Goblin King is faster. A massive green foot comes down, crushing him into the dirt. The boss begins a full-on rampage, swinging its oversized club to smash another student like a bug. It turns its attention to another girl, who is frozen in terror as the shadow of the club falls over her. Suddenly, a bolt of purple lightning streaks through the air. Gu Xiaoya fires a blast from her staff, but it only clips the monster's arm. The health bar barely moves. She bites her lip, frustrated. Miss. Hitting the limbs causes damage fall-off. We have to hit the vitals. The hot chick looks around at the absolute chaos. She reveals her inner thoughts. According to my original plan, the others would hold off the Goblin King while the other ranged attackers and I deal steady damage from the back. As long as everyone works together, we should be able to kill the boss before we run out of mental power. She watches the survivors scatter in every direction, dropping their weapons as they flee. But now the formation has scattered. My plan was still too idealistic. She stands alone, a tiny figure before the towering green mountain of muscle. The Goblin King raises its club, its yellow eyes locked onto the girl who actually dared to sting it. Suddenly, a voice cuts through her despair, shouting, "Are you an idiot? Run!" Her eyes widen in shock as she realizes she's about to be the next pancake. Just as the Goblin King swings his massive club, Xiao Lin dives into action. He slides right under the lethal strike. The club slams into the ground behind him, shattering the earth and leaving a massive crater where he stood just a second ago. He's not just running, he's calculating. After a smooth recovery, he realizes the trick to this green maniac's behavior. The Goblin King prioritizes whoever is closest. It's a simple aggro mechanic, and now that the small fry are gone, they only have to face the big boss. He calls out to the archer girl hiding behind a tree, telling her not to panic. He orders her to keep her distance and harass the beast from afar to create brief openings. She's clearly shaken, saying she will try before drawing her bow. Next, he turns to our talented mage, Gu Xiaoya, telling her that since her attack power is high, she needs to find a chance to chip away at the king's health. She nods with a serious response and gets to work. The team-up actually starts looking decent. Arrows fly and purple magic blasts streak through the air, raining down on the boss. Xiao Lin keeps the hype up, telling them to keep it up. But of course, the Goblin King isn't about to just take it. He lets out a deafening roar that shakes the very foundations of the dungeon. The boss slams his massive fists together, unleashing a glowing green shockwave that rips through the ground. Xiao Lin screams for everyone to watch out, but it's too late. The archer girl is caught in the blast and sent flying with a cry of pain. As the dust settles, only Xiao Lin and Gu Xiaoya are left standing to face the monster. Gu Xiaoya looks pretty stressed, asking Xiao Lin if just the two of them even have a chance at this point. Our guy just gives her a cool look and asks if her blue bar, excuse him, her magic power, is still enough to fire a few energy blasts. She tells him she's got 2 shots left at most. Xiao Lin grins, telling her that's enough since headshots deal high damage and she just needs to hit its head once. She's worried because the green giant moves too fast for her accuracy to keep up, But our MC has a plan for that. With a confident smirk, he tells her that if it moves too fast, he'll just make it stop. That's when things get serious. A glowing system screen announces the activation of his skill, Scholar. His eyes light up with a mystical violet glow as the system scans the monster, detecting its shockwave skill. It's an F-rank ability that deals impact damage and, more importantly, inflicts a 3-second stun. Xiao Lin slides forward, reflecting on how he used to be called trash because his talent was useless. But now, it's finally his turn to shine on the battlefield. Another screen pops up to confirm the win, skill copied. He's now packing the boss's own shockwave ability, with a 30-second cooldown and a 3-minute duration, and he's ready to show this monster how it's done. Xiao Lin rushed forward as the Goblin King got ready for its next move. Watching closely, he realized it was about to use its shockwave again. From what he understood, the monster had to slam both hands into the ground to trigger it, while his copied version only needed a weapon strike. Since he was much smaller, he figured his move would come out faster. A system message appeared showing that copy, Shockwave, had been activated. Xiao Lin swung his sword down at the same time the Goblin King brought its massive hands crashing toward the ground. He had already figured that skills like this could be interrupted, and right away, the collision sent out a violent burst of energy that forced the Goblin King's arms back. Xiao Lin slid across the ground and noted that his guess had been right. The Goblin King let out an angry roar. Xiao Lin reminded himself that he couldn't keep using the skill back-to-back, and had to wait for the cooldown. The system showed 22 seconds remaining as the monster kept attacking without slowing down. Out of nowhere, a huge purple blast of magic slammed straight into the Goblin King's chest. The monster let out a loud roar as its health bar dropped. Gu Xiaoye appeared nearby, leaning on her staff, sweat running down her face. Struggling to catch her breath, she said she couldn't keep going much longer and only had one attack left. At the same time, she couldn't understand how Xiao Lin had managed to interrupt the Goblin King's skill with stats like his. The system showed the cooldown, 16 seconds. The Goblin King ripped a massive rock from the ground and threw it. Xiao Lin barely moved out of the way in time and noted that it was way too close. He realized the next hit wouldn't be something he could avoid. With a small grin, he decided he wouldn't even try to dodge. The Goblin King's fist came crashing down, and Xiao Lin raised his arm to block it head-on. Gu Xiaoye shouted his name as the impact kicked up a huge cloud of dust mixed with blue, pixel-like energy. When everything cleared, Xiao Lin was still standing. His arm glowed with that same blue light, and he told her he was fine. The system countdown dropped to 10 seconds. The Goblin King lifted its arms again, preparing another strike. As the timer hit 7 seconds, Xiao Lin moved straight under the monster, knowing his skill wouldn't work from too far away. At 3 seconds, he jumped up, eyes locked on his sword. He shouted for the monster to stop just as the system showed that the cooldown was complete. Right after that, another message confirmed copy. Shockwave had been activated. A massive purple blast burst out from his strike. He called out to Gu Xiaoye, telling her to take the chance. She didn't hesitate and released her final, powerful purple beam from her staff. The attack shot forward and went straight through the Goblin King's head, wiping out the rest of its health. The Goblin King's body started breaking apart into blue pixels. A system message announced that it had been killed, followed immediately by another confirming that the optional mission was complete. Xiao Lin let his sword drop as he tried to steady his breathing. He said they had finally taken it down, but right after that, his legs gave out. He fell forward onto the grass, muttering that this was supposed to be just a safe zone mission. Gu Xiaoye hurried over and looked down at him, clearly worried. As everything faded out, a single thought lingered in his mind, quietly saying that it looked like completion wouldn't be possible. The scene shifted to a sleek, high-tech boardroom. Several people sat around a long, glowing table as one of them asked if everyone had checked their class's freshman test result. At the head of the table, the Minister of Admissions, a sharp-looking man with a cigarette in hand, said he would go over the summary. He explained that 1,360 students had enrolled this year across 12 classes. Then he broke down the results. 560 students ended up in F rank, 450 in D rank, 200 in C rank, 83 in B rank, and 52 reached A rank. After a short pause, He added that 15 students had achieved S rank. That got people talking. One woman looked stunned, while a man said that reaching S rank meant clearing all 3 missions and making it out alive. He wondered if this batch of freshmen was really that strong and asked if many talented students had appeared. A muscular man said his class alone had 2 talented students, while a blonde woman added that her class also had 2, though they were only B rank. The minister confirmed that there were 13 talented students among the freshmen. He put out his cigarette and said this was the strongest batch in the last 10 years, thanking everyone for their effort. A man called Little Chin rested his head on his hand and said his class didn't produce a single talented student. The minister looked at him and said that even though his class didn't reach the safe zone, they still set 2 school records. Chin looked up, surprised. The minister explained that first, one class had 2 non-talented students receive S evaluations at the same time. Then he added that one of them broke the record for the highest intelligence stat since Dawn Academy was founded. The room went quiet as he added one more detail. The lowest overall stat record had also been set. He pointed out that both of these completely opposite records came from the same 2 students in Chin's class who got S rank. A display appeared, showing their stat chart. One clearly belonged to Gu Xiaoya, with an intelligence stat far beyond the chart's limits, while the other showed Xiao Lin's extremely low stats, with his highest being just a 3 in Constitution and everything else sitting at 2. The minister said this situation had even caught the principal's attention. A system message appeared. The entrance test had ended and teleportation was being prepared. In the next moment, Xiao Lin appeared in a clean, white hallway. He looked at his hands and said he actually made it, noticing that all his injuries were gone. A system screen showed up in front of him with his details: his name, student ID, and mission result. All 3 objectives were marked complete: reaching the safe zone, killing 5 goblins, and defeating the Goblin King. His final evaluation was S, along with 40 credits and 800 exchange points. Xiao Lin stared at it, confused. He said he didn't remember completing the first mission since he had passed out earlier. As he reached out to the screen, he noticed Gu Xiaoya walking away in the distance and wondered if she had been the one who brought him to the safe zone. Someone called his name. He turned and saw the archer girl waving as she ran over. She thanked him and Gu Xiaoya, saying she wouldn't have gotten an A evaluation without them. Looking a bit down, she admitted she felt useless since she got taken out by the boss's shockwave aftereffects. Then she asked if they managed to defeat the Goblin King. Xiao Lin gave a small smile and said they did. She lit up and said she knew they could do it. Just then, a large man bumped into Xiao Lin and reacted with a quick, ow, before looking annoyed. He said it was nothing but luck and added that with stats like Xiao Lin's, he would have been done for countless times if he hadn't relied on Gu Xiaoya the whole time. Not long after, Gu Xiaoya walked over, looking calm in her long coat. She stopped in front of Xiao Lin, said his name, and told him she wanted to talk to him alone about the battle. Her gaze stayed fixed on him, serious and focused. Xiao Lin and Gu Xiaoya stood together in a quiet hallway after everything finally settled down. Xiao Lin thanked her for what she did during the safe zone mission, but Gu Xiaoya kept things simple, saying it was just a mutual effort to get the best rewards. She adjusted her glasses and added that without Xiao Lin stepping in to interrupt the Goblin King's skill and create that opening, she wouldn't have been able to land the final hit. Xiao Lin listened, noting to himself how calmly and clearly she broke everything down. Then she brought up something else. She said that, based on his current stats, it shouldn't have been possible for him to interrupt a boss's skill in the first place. Still, she told him that everyone had their own secrets, and she wasn't planning to dig into his. She added that if anyone asked, she would keep it to herself. Xiao Lin thanked her, rubbing the back of his head a bit. Gu Xiaoya then mentioned that the smart brain system in their nameplates had a communication feature and suggested they add each other as friends. Xiao Lin agreed, and she told him to silently say "smart brain" to bring up the interface. As he did, a screen appeared in front of him showing his basic info: his name, student ID 201235, along with 40 credits and 800 exchange points. His stats were all low, with strength, agility, and intelligence at 2, and constitution at 3. Gu Xiaoya asked for his student ID, and he told her. Almost immediately, A notification popped up saying he had received a friend request from her. Xiao Lin accepted it, and the system confirmed they were now connected. Right then, Qin Chuan's voice echoed through the area, calling for all students who received an F rank to gather at the entrance right away. He then instructed everyone else to open their smart brain maps and head to the central playground. As people started moving, Qin Chuan called Gu Xiaoye over, saying he wanted to speak with her. She agreed and followed him, leaving Xiao Lin by himself. Xiao Lin opened his map and saw that the route to the playground went through the courtyard. As he watched Gu Xiaoye walk away, he wondered if Qin Chuan was interested in her because of her S rank, or if he had noticed something more. Later, at the central playground, the place was already packed with students under a clear blue sky. Xiao Lin looked around at the growing crowd and wondered how something like this would look in the real world, with so many people gone at once. Gu Xiaoye walked over and asked if he was okay. As she passed by him, Xiao Lin noted to himself that he hadn't said anything he shouldn't have. Voices suddenly called out, telling everyone to make way. A blue-haired young man in a student council uniform walked through the crowd. Not long after, an official told the students to line up according to their classes. The young man stepped up to a podium where a blue crystal floated in the air. He introduced himself as the student council president and explained that the principal was delayed but would arrive later. For now, he said he would welcome the freshmen on behalf of the academy. Before he could continue, a deep, terrifying roar shook the entire area. Xiao Lin and the others looked up as a massive dragon with glowing purple eyes appeared overhead, its huge body casting a shadow across the playground. Xiao Lin felt the pressure immediately, sweat forming as he stared up at it, trying to process the sight of a real dragon descending right in front of them. The massive purple dragon let out a roar that shook the entire area as it hovered over the students. There was no doubt about it. It was a real dragon. Xiao Lin stood there, unable to move, sweat running down his face as he realized his body had completely locked up from pure instinct. Not far from him, Gu Xiaoye was shaking as well, noting to herself that she couldn't move at all. The dragon slowly descended and landed near the podium where the student council president and the staff were waiting. Sitting on its head was an old man with white hair and a long beard. He casually apologized to the students, saying he got held up on the way and almost arrived late. The student council president gave a stiff smile and commented that the entrance ceremony had turned out a bit too grand. The principal immediately pushed back, saying it wasn't about showing off. He explained that he had just rushed back from somewhere else and had no choice but to ride the dragon because he was short on time. The dragon shifted slightly, looking bothered as the principal kept talking. He went on, complaining that the creature started acting up as soon as it arrived and even scared the students. He warned that if it caused trouble again, he'd turn it into a sofa. Xiao Lin watched all of this, thinking that this man was the principal, the one person who had the authority to see his scholar talent. The principal then said he had already looked over the entrance test results and that this year's batch was quite impressive. His gaze swept across the crowd, sharp and focused, making Xiao Lin tense up. A purple magic circle appeared on the ground as an amplification spell activated. The principal began speaking more formally, saying that normally he would start by introducing himself, but he figured the students were more interested in other things. He mentioned that many of them were brought here under confusing or unpleasant circumstances and were probably not happy about it. He pointed off to the side and said that if anyone had complaints, they should take it up with the admissions department, adding that they had a habit of delivering letters at terrible hours. He even said he'd make a new rule so admissions would only happen during the day. The crowd reacted with mixed expressions. Then his tone shifted completely. He said that was enough joking around and that he would answer the two biggest questions on everyone's mind: who they were and what they were here to do. Standing there as purple energy swirled around him, he called out for all the students who came from the old world to listen carefully. With a firm voice, he declared that they were colonists. He went on to explain that this place was called Planet Norma, also known as the New World. He said the purpose of Dawn Academy was to train the best pioneer colonists. In the end, he made it clear. Norma was the world they were heading to, the place they would fight in, and the territory they would one day take over. The principal's voice carried across the entire stadium, loud and full of energy. He told the students that their normal lives had ended the moment they opened their admission letters. According to him, what lay ahead was something far bigger. Some of them might grow into battlefield commanders leading armies and taking new lands, while others could become powerful magisters uncovering truths and controlling the laws of nature. He even mentioned that a few might rise high enough to shape the rules of an entirely new world. With a dramatic motion toward the dragon behind him, he went on to promise strength, knowledge, power, and even the possibility of living forever. He said that everything the new world had to offer would be within their reach. Then he introduced a new rule. He explained that freshmen had always been banned from entering the new world early, but this time things would change. He announced that the top 3 students in the university term comprehensive exam would earn the right to go there ahead of everyone else. That immediately got a reaction. The student council president stepped forward, clearly uneasy, and said this decision involved the freshman's safety. The principal didn't let him continue. He cut him off with a sharp look. The president instantly backed down, sweating as he quickly corrected himself, and said he had spoken out of turn. The principal, now satisfied, ended the assembly right there. Xiao Lin watched the whole thing closely. He noticed how intense the president's reaction had been and quietly wondered if the new rule came with hidden risk. Still, he didn't dwell on it for long. He decided his main focus should be using everything the academy offered to build his strength. Just as he was about to leave, Instructor Qin Chuan called out and told him to stay. Xiao Lin turned back, and Qin explained that based on academy rules, the top scorer from the entrance test automatically became the class monitor. Since Gu Xiaoya had stepped down, the role now fell to him. Qin added that being a monitor came with extra credits, better resource access, and special perks, things that could really help someone ranked at the bottom. He also mentioned that the position would be reassigned after 3 months, once the comprehensive exam was over. Right then, a holographic message appeared in front of Xiao Lin, stating that he had been appointed as the acting class monitor of freshman year class 7 by Instructor Qin Chuan. Qin told him to go through the extra manual sent by the smart brain before leaving. On his way to the dormitory, Xiao Lin kept thinking about what privileges really meant. At the reception desk, a sophomore explained the dorm rules, saying the doors closed at 7 p.m. and opened again at 6 a.m. She warned him that staying out overnight would cost him credit. Xiao Lin nodded, taking it in, but the moment she checked his ID, her whole attitude changed. She looked surprised and excited when she realized he was a class monitor. When Xiao Lin tried to downplay it and said he was only an acting monitor, she brushed that off and said no ordinary student would hold that role. She introduced herself as Zhang Tingting and eagerly offered to help him pick up supplies and choose a room. As she handed him a green freshman uniform, she casually mentioned that sophomores wore blue, while also chatting more comfortably than before. She guided him to his room, which turned out to be a private one, something only class monitors were given. Regular freshmen had to share. Xiao Lin took in the space, clearly impressed. Zhang Tingting reminded him not to lose his identity nameplate, explaining that it was needed for entering rooms, buying things, and signing into classes. Before leaving, she added him as a friend and told him he could ask her anything about school life. She waved as she headed off, reminding him to choose his courses carefully. Now alone, Xiao Lin started to see how much strength influenced status in this place. He didn't waste time and decided to handle course selection right away. He gave the command to open the course selection table, and a huge list appeared in front of him. There were basic stat courses like swordsmanship, sabermanship, boxing, archery, and meditation. Then there were secondary stat courses like taijutsu, perception, balance, focus, resilience, movement, parry, and dodge. On top of that, there were compulsory subjects covering the history, language, and geography of the normal world. The number of choices felt like a lot, but Xiao Lin reminded himself to stay focused. He knew the required courses were fixed, and he had to pick one main combat course along with 3 secondary ones. He relied on his scholar talent, knowing it could make up for his weak stats. He thought it through carefully. Since his talent boosted learning speed, he decided to lean into that advantage. He chose basic swordsmanship for its flexibility, basic taijutsu to help him stay alive in fights, and basic meditation to strengthen his mental focus. Once he confirmed everything, a blue screen appeared, letting him know the selection was complete. The next day, Xiao Lin showed up at the swordsmanship training ground. He swung his sword at a wooden training post, putting effort into each strike. A system message appeared, showing that his swordsmanship experience had increased. As he kept practicing, he began to understand that the strength of a proper slash came from the waist, not just the wrist. The moment he picked that up, his talent activated. Another notification appeared, saying his learning efficiency had doubled. A faint blue glow surrounded him as he continued training, improving much faster than before.